The Naked Prey is a 1965 adventure film starring Cornel Wilde, who also served as director and producer, which was released by Paramount Pictures. Set in the South African veldt, the film is a wilderness survival story loosely based on the experiences of explorer John Colter, who was pursued by Blackfoot warriors through frontier Wyoming in 1809. The screenplay earned Clint and Don Peters an Academy Award nomination. Plot summary: Wilde, whose character is never named, plays a professional safari guide leading two white men and the troop on an elephant hunt through the African veldt during the colonial era. When the group intrudes on a local tribe's territory, some natives politely accost them, expecting to be bought off with gifts. Although the guide advises his client to be courteous, warning they could give us a bad time, the client refuses to offer anything and insults the natives, sending them away empty-handed. Later, the tribe returns en masse, captures the entire party, and puts the captives to death, using various cruel and unusual methods. One man is covered in clay and roasted alive on a spit, another is tarred, feathered, and trussed, then chased and killed by all the women. The man who insulted the tribesman is trapped in a ring of fire with a poisonous snake. Wilde's character is spared until the last. He is stripped naked and then an arrow is fired into the air. Wilde's character then runs, and once he passes the arrow is chased by one tribesman who must reach the arrow before the next tribesman can join in the hunt. With a combination of luck, cunning, and desperation, he eludes the warriors, killing several, finds food and water, and, after many days, returns to a colonial fort just seconds ahead of his pursuers. As he reaches safety, the man turns and exchanges a salute with their leader. Although the story is violent, there are a few scenes of tenderness and humor after the man is rescued from drowning by an African girl, who travels with him for a day or two. As they walk along, he sings a 19th-century drinking song, Little Brown Jug, and the child sings a song in her own language. They then attempt to sing each other's songs. Production and critical reception. Setting: The Naked Prey was filmed on location in southern Rhodesia. The initial version was set in the American Old West and more closely resembled the incident that inspired it. However, financial concerns persuaded Wilde to change the setting to Africa. Cast notes: Wilde was an athlete. He qualified for the Olympic Games as a fencer in 1936 and remained in excellent condition. However, he was over 52 years old when the movie was shot and was sick during much of the filming, but pressed on, saying the illness added to his performance. 5 of the 10 actors playing tribal hunters were cast together in the 1964 South African film Diamond Walkers. In the original theatrical release, there is a very long shot with Wilde in the mid-foreground and way in the distance, a mile or so behind him, one can see a tiny Land Rover crossing the screen on the horizon. Critical reception: The minimal dialogue, richly realized African settings, and emphasis on making the chase a subject unto itself, rather than the climax to a conventional story, distinguished Naked Prey as an innovative and influential adventure film. However, although it is considered a small classic today, it received mixed reviews at the time of its release. Robert Alden of the New York Times, reacting to the brutality of some of the early scenes, dismissed the film as poor and tasteless motion picture entertainment, but did acknowledge its authentic African setting and effective use of tribal drums and native music. Roger Ebert, taking a different tack, called The Naked Prey pure fantasy of the great white hunter variety, adding disdainfully, "Sure, it's nice to think you could outrun half a dozen hand-picked African warriors simply because you'd been to college and read Thoreau, but the truth is they'd nail you before you got across the river and into the trees." Other reviewers, however, were more enthusiastic. In time, the film was described as a classic, single-minded epic of survival with no time out for faint-hearted blondes or false heroics, where natives are not the usual faceless blackspout human beings whose capacity for violence the hero quickly matches. The Variety Review praised the documentary-style use of nature photography to show the pattern of repose, pursuit, sudden death and then repose that characterizes the entire chase. Later releases. The Naked Prey was released on DVD by the Criterion Collection in January 2008. Soundtrack. The soundtrack consists of African tribal chants, natural sounds, and occasional dialogue, in English and otherwise. There are no subtitles, and incidental music is mostly absent. It features Nooney tribal songs specifically recorded for the film. A vinyl LP, The Naked Prey, was released in 1966 on Folkways Records. It was re-released as Cornel Wilde's The Naked Prey in CD form on Latitude Locust Music in 2004. Cinematic influence. As teenagers, Joel and Ethan Coen shot their own version of The Naked Prey on a Super 8 film camera. They called it Zamas in Zambia and cast a neighbor, Mark Zimmering, in the lead role. Mel Gibson's film Apocalypto resembles The Naked Prey in its plot and in several similar scenes. The scenario of a man being pursued by a pack of warriors who set out, one by one, after he has reached the point where a loose arrow fell was seen also in the 1957 film Run of the Arrow. Likewise, Robert Redford's movie, Jeremiah Johnson, has a similar plotline wherein Native American tribesmen give chase, often individually, to challenge Redford's character to duel to the death. Similarly, he signs off with the chief from a distance at the end of the movie. Cultural influence. The progressive rock group Coheed and Cambria was originally named Shabuti after the African chant from the film. Shabuti translates to naked prey. In popular culture, in the first scene of the Mad Men Season 5 episode, Far Away Places, Abe coaxes a distracted and reluctant Peggy to go see the film with him. His pitch: "You're resisting a chance to see Cornel Wilde naked. I heard he wrestles a boa constrictor. Sounds pretty dirty." The 266th episode of Cheers is titled Bar Wars 7, The Naked Prey. In the movie, was Popper, the main character's brother, is regularly mugged while taking a shortcut through NYC Central Park. In one mugging, the group of muggers refer to the naked prey as they strip him and then chase him. Garrett Morris plays one of the muggers.